June 4, 1942. Far beyond the horizon, the Imperial Japanese Navy moves toward Midway Atoll with overwhelming force. Their objective is simple: destroy America's remaining aircraft carriers and secure dominance over the Pacific. The battle about to unfold will become one of the most important naval battles in history. But this time, something impossible enters the war. A lone McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle appears above the Pacific, an aircraft nearly 40 years ahead of its time. For this scenario, let's assume the jet arrives fully fueled, fully armed, and flown by an experienced modern pilot, as well as with a ground crew waiting on a base. The moment the F-15 activates its radar, the pilot immediately sees the battlefield. Enemy aircraft, bombers, escort fighters, warships, everything. In 1942, pilots relied mostly on visual contact and rough scouting reports, but the F-15 sees the entire Japanese strike force from dozens of miles away. And suddenly, the balance of power changes instantly. The jet accelerates toward the incoming Japanese aircraft at terrifying speed. Far below, formations of Aichi D-3A dive bombers and Nakajima B-5N torpedo bombers race toward Midway. Escorting them are deadly Mitsubishi A-6M0 fighters. Then suddenly, one bomber explodes. The Japanese pilots are confused. No American aircraft nearby, no anti-aircraft fire, just sudden destruction from nowhere. Then another aircraft vanishes, and another. Panic spreads through the formation. The F-15 is attacking from beyond visual range. To the pilots of 1942, this is incomprehensible. Aircraft are not supposed to fight from miles away, but the F-15's missiles rip through the formation before the Japanese even know what they're facing. The escorting Zero fighters break formation and climb desperately toward the mysterious attacker. For a moment, some pilots finally see it: a silver aircraft with no propeller moving faster than anything humanity has ever built. The jet tears across the sky at impossible speed. Then it vanishes again. The Zero pilots attempt pursuit. It's hopeless. The F-15 climbs faster, turns harder, accelerates beyond anything their aircraft can achieve. Within minutes, entire bomber formations are gone. The surviving Japanese pilots begin scattering in every direction. Some try to retreat. Others continue blindly toward Midway, but the attack is already collapsing. And this is only the beginning. The F-15 now heads toward a new target, not the carriers, but the Japanese cruiser fleet protecting them. Historically, the Battle of Midway became a disaster for Japan after American dive bombers struck vulnerable carriers during aircraft refueling operations. But in this timeline, the F-15 begins dismantling the fleet's outer defenses long before American bombers even arrive. After intercepting the Japanese aircraft earlier in the battle, the jet lands briefly to rearm. This time, the aircraft takes off carrying air-to-ground weapons, laser-guided bombs, modern precision weapons far beyond anything that exists in 1942. As the F-15 races back toward the Japanese fleet, the pilot activates the aircraft's advanced targeting pod. Instantly, the ocean below transforms into a detailed battlefield display. Through infrared sensors and stabilized optics, the pilot can see individual ships from enormous distances. Cruisers, destroyers, everything. The shield protecting Japan's strike force. The pilot zooms in using the targeting pod. Crosshairs lock directly onto one of the cruisers. Then suddenly, a laser-guided bomb falls from the sky. Moments later, the cruiser erupts in a massive explosion. Fireballs tear through the upper decks as ammunition detonates violently inside the ship. Sailors are thrown across the deck. Smoke rises hundreds of feet into the air. The Japanese anti-aircraft gunners fire randomly into the sky in panic. No American dive bombers nearby. No torpedo aircraft approaching. Just sudden precision destruction from an aircraft nobody understands. The F-15 climbs sharply before circling for another pass. Using the targeting pod again, the pilot tracks a second cruiser moving through the formation. The pod stabilizes perfectly despite the jet's speed. The laser locks on. Another bomb releases. Seconds later, a direct hit slams into the ship near the bridge. The explosion rips through command sections and anti-aircraft batteries. Flames spread rapidly across the vessel. Anti-aircraft guns across the fleet begin firing wildly into the sky. But tracking the F-15 is nearly impossible. The jet moves too fast. To the Japanese crews below, the aircraft seems less like a fighter and more like some kind of futuristic weapon. A machine capable of seeing targets from impossible distances and striking them with unbelievable precision. The pilot dives lower. Now the F-15 switches to the M61 Vulcan cannon. The sound is horrifying. Thousands of rounds per minute tear across the decks of the cruisers. Radar stations explode. Gun crews disappear beneath cannon fire. Fuel ignites instantly. One cruiser begins listing heavily after repeated strafing runs destroy sections of the upper deck. Another slows dramatically as smoke pours from damaged engine compartments. The formation starts breaking apart. Japanese commanders desperately attempt evasive maneuvers while radio operators flood the fleet with frantic reports. An aircraft with no propeller, impossible speed, bombs that strike with impossible accuracy, and weapons capable of tearing apart warships within seconds. Some officers believe the reports are impossible. Others fear America has secretly developed technology decades ahead of the rest of the world. But one thing becomes undeniable. The fleet is under attack by something completely beyond their understanding. The psychological effect is devastating. Sailors trained for traditional naval warfare suddenly find themselves fighting an enemy they cannot properly track or counter. Meanwhile, American forces are stunned. Pilots from Douglas SBD Dauntless squadrons watch Japanese ships already burning before they even begin their own attack runs. U.S. Navy commanders realize that some unknown aircraft is crippling the Japanese fleet almost single-handedly. Morale surges instantly. Japanese fleet coordination begins collapsing under confusion and heavy damage. Escort formations scatter. Anti-aircraft defenses become disorganized. The entire fleet grows increasingly vulnerable to incoming American attacks. But despite all its overwhelming power, the F-15 still faces one unavoidable weakness: logistics. Modern fighter aircraft are unbelievably complex. The jet requires specialized maintenance, advanced electronics, replacement parts, and massive amounts of jet fuel. None of those things exist in 1942. Every bomb dropped is irreplaceable. Every flight hour pushes the aircraft closer to mechanical failure. Eventually, the pilot would be forced to conserve ammunition and rely almost entirely on the onboard cannon. Still devastating against World War II ships and aircraft, but impossible to sustain forever. Yet by the time the F-15 begins running low on resources, history may already be permanently altered. With cruiser escorts damaged or destroyed, Japanese fleet defenses weaken dramatically. American dive bombers now face far less anti-aircraft resistance. Fleet coordination collapses earlier than it did historically. Japanese losses grow even heavier. And to the sailors who survived the battle, the F-15 would become legend. A ghost aircraft from another era, a machine so advanced that for a few terrifying hours over the Pacific Ocean. World War II no longer belonged to 1942. It belonged to the future.